Great day, everyone. Welcome to the Hey Honey podcast, the space for all conversations. Y'all, so one thing I want for us to make sure we're talking about is how change happens and life happens with that change. And we never know where it's coming from, honey, the direction, up, down, left, or right. And so today we're going to talk about a big life change that took place for Ashley and just what that meant for her life and for her family. And right before we do that, I want to offer a little drop of honey. The world does not become a better place just because you beat yourself up. Okay? Write it down, baby. All right, so listen, y'all. Okay, so Ashley, I want for you to introduce yourself to the people. I think you would do a much better job than I talking about yourself. So tell them who you are, what you do, and what you're going to be talking about today.
I'm Ashley. I love that. Your name is Ashley, too. I'm Ashley. I am a parent advocacy coach, but I also have a child who has autism. So I teach moms how to advocate for their children in schools, at the doctor's office, everywhere, even at the grocery store when you got to check somebody. I teach you how to do that. So that's my ministry, pouring into the moms, telling them, like, it's okay if you are spazzing out, just pouring, because I remember when it was just me and I didn't have anybody to talk to because, in the Black community, we just don't talk about that.
Because ain't nothing wrong with him.
Right, he's just a little bad.
Right, and nothing's wrong with him. So we'll talk about that as well. So tell me, walk us through the journey of having your son tested, what that looked like, what even prompted you to have him tested in the first place?
I just started noticing different behaviors, a lot of repetitive behaviors. While my son is academically gifted, right now he's 3 and he's doing multiplication, I noticed that his social skills were just really off. He would cry for long periods of time, not the average like 5-10 minutes, but it would be 30 minutes to an hour. When certain sensory things happened, he would freak out. Loud noises scared him. It was just a lot of things that were building up, but I also think my degrees in education prompted me to say something's not right. And even with getting him tested, I was gaslit the whole time.
What was that? Tell me, let's pause there, because I want to talk about what that experience was like.
Trying to tell somebody who doesn't know your child the way you know them that I think something is wrong is really hard, especially when academically he does not show it. So we always talk about how the child is academically or their intelligence. What do they know? What do they not know? But sometimes it's not about their brain. It's more so about how they are socially. And trying to explain that to any doctor, no matter the color, it's like, oh, they're fine. Oh, they'll grow out of it. It doesn't matter. So it's a phase. Yeah. They're a baby. They're a kid. And it's like, no, my kid shouldn't be crying for 45 minutes because the ketchup touched his hot dog. Like, those are things that really were red alerts to me. And I saw it at 12 months.
Oh, wow.
And I just kind of was like, something's not right. And every mom that I've talked to whose child has autism or whatever they have going on, they were like, I knew something in my gut. Like, when you have that child, you have alarms inside your body. When you look at them, like, something's a little off. And so trying to explain that and people believe you is frustrating, especially when you have a Black little boy. And my pediatrician's Black. He was very hesitant because he says that he sees it all the time and we're scared of the labels. Right.
That's where my mind went. The concern label around that, as though that is a predictor of where they'll be or what they'll do in life. Interesting. Okay, so you notice something at 12 months, you keep living life, and then
I go get them tested. I think I already knew before I got the diagnosis.
Specifically?
It was between autism and ADHD, and I teeter-totter, but a lot of people don't know that they kind of go hand in hand.
Each other,
So I was like, it could go one way or go the other. So when I heard it, I was like, oh, okay, I already knew that, and I was ready to go forward. But again, I already knew just because of teaching. I've taught almost 10 years. So I kind of can spot different things. And it's an awful superpower to have. Because I'll be talking with a person and then I see their kid and I just observe their kid and I'm like, that child may have such and such. So it's an awful spirit.
Yeah.
I don't want to say spirit.
I understand. It's an intuition. It's an
intuition. It's awful sometimes because I'll even look at adults and I'm like, he might have a little tism.
Oh, not her trying to see what I got going on.
But it's so ingrained in me because you're taught as an educator to catch those misconceptions so early. So I can see it in a 3-month-old depending on what the child has going on. So when I got the diagnosis, I was like, okay, let's go forward. But as I've talked to other moms in my community, that was a hard acceptance for them to take on. Where for me, I was like, okay, let's sign them up for all the things. Let me get, because we have insurance.
Tons of intervention.
Yeah. And I think, too, I was ready to get the ball rolling because I know, again, because I have the education behind it, early intervention is best. What I've found as I've talked to moms, especially moms of color, we sit back a little bit because of the label. We're scared. What does that mean for my child? And we have to get away from the fact that we think the label determines our child's future.
Let me interject here too, because one thing I'm super curious about, the focus being on the child. What does that mean for my child? Tell me if the experience is also, what does that mean for me or about me? Okay, so I always say this when I talk to anybody. There's a certain type of ego that comes with having a child. I have a friend, it's a mutual friend, who tells me all the time that you used to say what you thought your child was going to do or how they were going to be before you became a mother. So it's funny now that I'm watching you go through this. Like, I never was going to allow my kids to have McDonald's. They love a nugget. I saw someone the other day, they said, while I was pregnant, my husband and I confirmed, we're on the same page. My child will not have screen time. They would not be that child. And she had a picture of her child in the back seat with their iPad. She's like, how things change. So it's like all of those ideas and expectations that literally get thrown out of the window. But that's ego. Yeah. When a child gets a diagnosis, for some moms, your ego is hit. Now, I will say that I thought about, okay, so my child is not going to be perfect. And I've had to correct my mind around that because you have this idea of what your child is going to do, who they're going to be. And as you continue to parent, you have to push your ego aside. Think about a lot of parents as like a helicopter parent. Being a helicopter parent to a certain extent is ego. That's your ego that's pouring into your child. And it really has nothing to do with them. It's more you. So a lot of moms will hesitate because that label hits your ego. Now, my child has autism. Am I a bad mom? My child has autism. Was it the drinking I was doing before I knew I was pregnant? What's my burden? What did I do to contribute to this instead of saying, maybe God just was like, okay, you're your baby. And so when you get past that, you're able to really go full force in helping your child. But a lot of moms are still stuck on what their ego is what they're going to look like as a mom when you attach that label to it. What was that? So were you able to separate those things quickly, or was that something you really had, like in terms of the ego part or my role in this, or what does that mean for my life and how it has to shift? What was that space like? Therapy. She got closer to the mic. Therapy. You have to really, while it's easy for me to navigate, and my husband tells me all the time, you go into these meetings and I'm on in a sense of I'm a teacher at heart. So I have a cheat code. I can go in these meetings and carry it. It's still, my ego is attached to my child having autism. I had to really work through those feelings and forgive myself. We don't talk enough about moms having to. There for a bit. You have to forgive yourself for a minute. I mean, I've talked to moms who are like, I was drinking back in 2004. Is that the reason why my baby got a little Tism? Or I used to smoke the weed and all the things. Is that a reason why? I say Tism because I think it's just really a little touch of the Tism. Can I laugh at them? But Tism. There's a little touch of the Tism. So you have to forgive yourself. It could be a book title. Don't steal it, y'all. You have to forgive yourself for your baby having something that has nothing to do with you. But again, that's your ego thinking that you had that much power to give your child anything instead of it being maybe God saw it fit. Or maybe that's just how life happens. And being okay with that. But therapy. And that's still something that I go, like, I feel like if you're a mom in general, you should be in therapy. Period. This is a new adventure every day. Oh, girl. And I used to tell people often, I used to tell people often, like, I do a lot of babysitting. And what I learned is that if I'm working with a 5-year-old or hanging out with a 5-year-old, they've never been 5 before on that day at that time. So we don't know what we're going to get, right? So by the time we just, life of a child, of a toddler, and then you add these other layers of things, I'm sure like the unpredictability of that brings about so much that you would need more emotional support for. Yeah, for sure. And parenting humbles you.
It will sit you down. You could be a teacher. I've talked to doctors, pediatricians that say, I struggle with parenting. Mind you, you got all the degrees, you know, all the things. Teachers that say, oh, I struggle with parenting because you have this idea because you did all the studies, you've taught for 10 years, and then you get your child and they humble you. It debunks everything in your mind that you thought you knew about being a parent because it's not your profession anymore. Yeah. That's your child. You don't know the genes. You don't know how any of that's how the dice is going to roll.
Yep.
You don't know how that's going to happen. So you just sit there and you deal. Every day is a new day with my son. Every day is a new day with my daughter.
Well, I was going to get to that part too, because being a mother of two, how do you approach that? For one, two different children are going to have two different personalities, two different sets of needs in general, right? But how do you approach that? So with your son having autism, where does your daughter fall into that in terms of space and availability for her, and making sure that she's seen and heard and all those things?
One of my kids have 14 months in between them, so that gap is bam bam.
What is it?
It's bam bam. Like it's right there. It was COVID. I like my husband. Things happen. So. She's considered a glass child if we're talking about the formal terminology for what a child is compared to a sibling who has a need that is extraordinary.
Tell me, define, you said glass child?
Glass child. They're there, but sometimes people don't see them.
Right.
Because they're worried about the child that has the needs.
Yeah.
What I will say is that God has blessed me with a personality. You're going to see her regardless.
Okay.
So, and also, too, her brother does not play about her. So
he's very affectionate towards her.
Yeah, that's a girl. Because they don't know life. Like, people ask me, how did you go from 1 to 2? I don't know life really without 2 because it happened so fast.
So quickly.
What I will say is that I carried an amount of guilt early on because as I was going through the trenches trying to figure out, hey, little dude got a little something going on, she was being baked and born. So a lot of my early years where my anxiety is high, I cannot sleep, all that, she's she's an infant. She's relying on me, but I'm worried about her brother. And so trying to, bless me, parent both became difficult because I'm worried about my son and what's going on with him or the diagnosis or whatever. And my husband will say all the time, when do you make time for her? So trying to make time for her, letting her brother know this is not about you. It's about her. But because of the age gap, they intertwine so much that it ends up being about both of them. But I try to make sure that I'm careful. Like, we're going to see The Little Mermaid. Just me and her.
Yeah.
We got an outfit. She's going to have the wig. All the things.
Can I come?
Come on. So that she knows she's loved. Like, we'll take drives. Absolutely. And it just be her. And trying to teach them that they have to have individual times. But that age gap is so hard because they rely on each other. Like, they had separate rooms. We had to put them back together.
Oh, wow.
Because he needs her a little more than she needs him, but they're each other's safety net. Like, they sleep a little different now that they're back with each other.
Yeah. Interesting. We talked some about, parents having the expectations and things like that. What did you expect for just motherhood in general to be? Oh, I love what's coming next. Yeah. What did you expect from motherhood in general to be like, to feel like, for you?
I think all of us have this expectation of what we think marriage is going to be. What do we think parenting is going to be? What do we think our life is going to be? Even as creators, what do we think our product is going to look like? And I had this idea of having a bunch of kids, not just 2 and being done. I had the idea of having 5 kids and being that mom with the truck, never van. And
okay, because baby, I will never,
never ever. But I had this idea of what my capacity would look like as a mother. And then I had 2 children. And I was like, baby. And my husband's the oldest of 3. So he always had 2 in his mind. More so, he's a money guy. So he was like, all the good deals having families of 4.
Wait, what? He don't go with it. I have no idea how to work.
He's talking about if you go to Disney, you can get the 2 adult, 2 kids deal or whatever. Again, he got a lot going on, but that's what he thinks about. And I'm thinking on this grand scheme of, I want all these kids, but what does me pouring into my kids look like? Again, like capacity is really...
How much capacity would I have for 5 children, for 6 children, while being a wife, an employee, or a business owner, you know,
whatever. And also just being me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tell people all the time, being a mother is a part of me, but it does not define me. I'm multiple things. People talk about marriage and, I got a husband. Yeah, I'm married, but my marriage is not defined. It's not a character trait.
Yeah.
You know, some people get married and all of a sudden, my husband, or I'm just a mom now. Like, no, I'm still me, and all these things create me.
Yeah.
Even when people cross into a fraternity and a sorority, all of a sudden... that's your personality trait. Ain't nothing else to you.
Nail
You
just
nail it.
Yeah.
You double
Sis,
and triple
bro.
nail it up. But you lose who you are. And sometimes that happens to moms by default.
By default, yeah.
And so I've fought real hard, again, therapy, to make sure that all these things still define me. My therapist loves to do activities. And
do you not like the activities?
Girl, sometimes can we just talk? But... she had a big bubble, Ashley, and then it was tentacles coming out of all the things
Well, like this is going.
of that define me, but it still goes back to Ashley instead of it being mom and then Ashley being a smaller tentacle at the bottom, and that's helped my self-care so much. It's just a lot. You have these ideas, and I'm starting to grow in the space of I have to not look 5-10 years ahead, but I have to be here in this moment.
Yeah.
And that's hard sometimes as a mom, especially being from the education background where I'm supposed to look at a child in the first day of school and see them at the end and see all the things that I need to do to make sure little Daryl gets where he needs to go.
First of all, little Daryl.
It's
Ricky
always
Smiley is
Daryl.
the only thing that came to mind when you said
It's either Daryl or Jamal. Those are my names when I'm talking about my imaginary students.
I love it. But so I can see how that could be challenging where I've been trained to look from day one into, same thing with therapy. When I was doing more of that, it was like, I'm thinking about your discharge plan on the very first time that I'm encountering you. But as a mom,
I got to be here.
Right now.
Right now.
In this exact moment.
Right now.
Yeah.
And him having autism also helps me just stay right there in whatever moment it is, because I have to keep notes of what I see, because I tell moms all the time, regardless of what your child going on, if they're neurodivergent or not, you need to know what's going on with your child. Like small tidbits of, hey, they keep switching hands when they're writing. What does that mean? My friend says, are they both-handed?
Both. B-O-F-F.
Are they both-handed? But trying to, even academically, I had a mom tell me that she's been keeping notes of things she saw. So when I met her, she said, little Sierra is struggling with this, and this, and I keep notes of this, and this are the things that we are doing. With my son, I think it's extra important that I pay attention, because it could be the food that caused his tantrum to be an hour long. Or it could be the weighted blanket of reason why he slept through the night.
Yeah.
So trying to make sure, and even with my daughter, she switches her hands a lot. What does that mean? Where's she going? Pay attention to it. Keep your eyes on it. So
it's not one of the, what I hear from that is not that it's like, it's high alert, but not high anxiety around it.
Ooh,
right?
No, girl. There was anxiety.
Okay. Let's sit there for a bit then.
Anxiety comes with motherhood in general, regardless of what your child has going on.
Yeah.
You're always the news, social media.
I think just hormones, everything.
Hormones, all the things.
Yeah.
Like, I can be transparent enough to say that my anxiety, I had a friend growing up, her little brother died of SIDS. So having 2 children back to back, I was not sleeping because I'm over.
Constantly. Concerned.
Always. Looking. I bought the little foot monitor that was hundreds of dollars. Yeah. And when it goes off, I'm jumping up. So I'm not allowing myself to rest because of that experience that I dealt with when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
So being hospitalized for exhaustion. Like, you used to see celebrities get hospitalized. You exhausted from what? And then being put in that place where your blood pressure's high because you haven't slept in 3 days.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And you're still working and going full stream ahead. So my anxiety used to be really bad, but having to sit in whatever God has going on for me, I have to be okay with it. And that's hard sometimes, because that means that's really putting your faith to the wall. If you believe in him, are you going to believe in his will? Are you going to believe in his way? Fully. Don't play with it. You can't, if you double dutch, you're going to continue to have highs and lows. So even with my son having autism, having to sit in this is God's will for me. This is God's will for my son. Let me take me out of it. This is God's will for my son. How do I nurture God's will? And I don't think we do enough of that as people. We don't nurture God's will. We combat it with our will, or we play here like, I think God said. But girl, that's you.
We'll make our own plan.
And then put a stamp on it, be like, yeah, that was him.
That's what God had been saying. No, that's what I said. I said that to me multiple times.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
And be lying.
Yeah, lying. So with that, so the anxiety level now.
Better.
Yeah.
But again, getting the proper help, having the community around me. And it's so funny. My community is a lot of therapists.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was on purpose or not. A lot of therapists, social workers that can put me back together when I'm falling apart. And being okay with falling apart with my son and not feeling guilty about it either.
I was going to say, I think it's the guilt normally is attached to
the fall apart.
Yeah. Or just the what I can't do or what I should be doing, like all of those different things. There's just a guilt that comes along with that.
Or if he has a bad day, what did I do? Or not being frustrated that it's something outside of his control.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, I don't know. Okay. Well, talk about it.
That little tism ain't got nothing to do with him not listening.
Right.
You know better. You do better. But being able to discern, is it his autism or is it him being 3? And not putting too much weight on the autism, because the autism does not define my child.
That's not the lens you see him through or the lens you experience him through.
No, I just know that it's a little quirk involved in it. Like if he come in here, all these lights, it's too bright.
Yeah.
Or if we're at a football game, too loud, mommy.
Yeah.
But also knowing that sometimes it's 3 and he's touching everything because he's 3.
Yeah. And they have nothing to do
it has nothing to do
with the
with
tism.
None with a little tism. So
this little tism, honey, throws me. I love it.
I can't wait to put it on the shirt.
What have you found to be like most beautiful about this experience, like post-diagnosis?
Building a community of women that look like me. I will say this, and I'll be honest about it. The autism community, when it comes to the mothers, is very whitewashed.
Oh, okay.
You see Molly, Sue, Sarah with their son who has autism, and they talk about their struggles, and I'm never going to negate their struggles. Right. But on my end, we're over here trying to convince doctors that, hey, something's going on. Yeah. We're over here trying to find resources. Like, I'm just seriously though, we're fighting where everything is given. I just found out the other day, and I could get a handicap sticker.
Really?
Mind you, the girls on the other side of the fence didn't do that.
Wow.
So
you're out here fitting me putting the people on.
Got to.
Black and brown moms specifically.
Yes, because we don't know, or we talk about, it was a big thing on my Instagram about a detox bath, and the girls was like, we're doing detox bath, but we're not going to the doctor. No, we're doing both. We're going to do both. We're going to go to the doctor and get all the resources, but we're also going to detox our children from all the crap that they eat, all the metals, all the things. We're going to change the narrative. We can do both. But also we're in a fight in our community to trust doctors. Yeah. And that goes back eons. Listen,
I would say that's a whole separate thing.
That's a whole, so I don't even want to go to the doctor. I can fix it myself. And it's like, no, you need to find somebody you can trust to get your baby the resources. Because again, if you don't fix this at 1, 2, 3, it's not fixed. You help them navigate. Let's navigate. Like my son the other day, teacher was out, which is common. They put 2 classes together. They say he hit that door and said, "It's too many kids in here." But he's learning how to advadicate for himself. And they were like, he was dead serious. I cannot function.
I'm not coming in here.
It's too loud.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Because the thing is, you want for me to come into this space and still thrive and function when this doesn't help me do that. So
he gonna cry or he gonna be turned up.
And then
he in trouble.
And that's the thing. And that cycle of sorts is definitely something that doesn't have to take place. And so I love that he is advocating for himself.
But this is a year in the making of therapy and not being scared of the therapy. This is a year in the making of talking with him and not beating him. This is a year in the making of him freaking out when he goes in there and realizing, I don't want to keep feeling like that. So that takes time. But again, that's from 2 to 3. So I can imagine what 2 to 15 looks like.
Absolutely.
Because now we know. I have an old coworker. Her son has ADHD. She took him off his medicine when he got to middle school.
Oh, how was that experience?
I'm about to tell you. So she spent all elementary teaching him how to advocate for himself, how to function when he's not on medicine, different things he can do, all the fidgets, all the things. His first year of middle school, hell, he was doing awful
I'm sure.
because he's fighting to figure out, how do I advocate for myself? Second year, straight A's.
Oh, good
but
gracious.
it took that 1 year of
doing
all the things
and adjusting and everything.
Having a confidence to advocate for yourself. And that's another thing I tell moms. You have to be confident in your voice. I'll be speaking at a conference a couple months from now.
We'll plug that information later.
How to speak up when your voice gets sucked out of you. Because that diagnosis, regardless of if you're prepared or not, you still pause like, okay, what's next? But that's a confidence thing. But if you didn't see your mama advocate for you,
it's uncommon. It's unfamiliar. It is not. It's
and
not
you don't
default.
know how to.
Yeah. Hold on. What is this?
Because so this is my real job in the sense of I teach moms how to advocate in these lanes, and a lot of these moms are from trauma backgrounds. So all they know how to do is da 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 da. And I gotta tell you, while we want to do that, let me write out this email that's going to have them even more fired up. And you didn't curse nobody out. You use statistics and data. You linked resources. You added in a physician and what they said.
I love
so that now when they come back to you, they're going to come correct because you know what you're talking about.
You're not just someone who's popping off at the mouth. Yeah.
You just going to be ignorant.
Yeah.
And they're going to knock it off at that. I mean, we know who we dealing with. So you got to stop playing checkers and get into the chess game. And that comes with advocating for your child who has any types of special needs. You have to be able to play the game or you're not going to be able to help your child.
Yeah. But what do we think based on what you've seen with the moms that you're supporting and serving in terms of helping them become advocates, why don't they, what stops them from advocating like at a higher or better capacity, so to speak?
Everybody wants to advocate. It's how.
Yeah.
I know how to advocate because my parents advocated for me. So I saw it.
Yeah.
If your mom and you had a bad relationship, your mom has 6 kids, she's working all the time, it's a skill.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have the education behind it, you have to know the words to say. Yeah. And sometimes because of our skin color, they don't expect me to come in there and really, I'm going to carry this meeting. To really carry it to where I want to see all the data. I'm coming in with my own, but we just don't know that. And sometimes we get frustrated and having to really check our frustrations, be like, if I go in here and set it off, my baby might have a worse experience at this school because I done showed my ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, just to be honest. So, I'm sorry for this. But we have to know how to navigate in these spaces so that they're already scared of us, right? So the fear is kind of
just so strange to me.
Girl.
You know, like if I'm just walking down the street, like I've seen that. Well, we'll get into that at a separate time. But yeah, the fear, the fear, the lens of fear that they're viewing us through, even as we walk in the door, to simply have a conversation. And then, of course, then there's the gaslighting and all the things that end up making it a bigger to-do than what.
Because now you're playing with me in my face.
Oh, you're playing with me in my face. That is what we will not have.
But that happens with doctors too, though. Even from maternity, they'll play with you in your face. And that's another reason why I don't have no more kids, because of how that's going. That experience was... If I did not have my 3 OBs that were black, I probably could have passed.
Wow.
Because it was a lot. And mind you, my husband, very smart black man, works banking, whatever. Me, all the degrees. And still, I think you can go home. My blood pressure is high, ma'am.
Wow.
I cannot go home. Where's my doctor?
They're not listening to you.
No, I think you'll work it out. We'll see you in a week. If it wasn't my black OB and like real black OB saying, no, I'm the doctor, you're not.
Wow.
She'll stay 2 more days and I'm going to watch it and I'll be up here. Even my black pediatrician, the way he advocates for my son, we have to do all the health things. He'll put autism level 1, intelligence really high. Because he said, I don't want them to play in his face.
Yeah, they automatically may assume.
And I don't know why this assumption that children that have autism can't speak or they're not intelligent.
Yeah, everyone's not, It's
only 30% of the children that are diagnosed with autism.
Give us a stat.
Oh, yeah. 30% that actually are nonverbal.
Yeah, okay.
There's a lot of doctors out here that, they do this. They have autism.
Yeah.
there's a lot of people functioning. People that are good with numbers, or they do things like this, or they twitch. They have a form of autism. The spectrum is this. Yeah. But we always put it right here. And that's also why in our community, nobody wants to say anything. Because I don't want them to think he's slow or he's on the short bus or all whatever. Those things. When you could get these resources, this extra testing time.
Yeah, to help them thrive. Because the reality is, at some point, they will be whole entire adults who will have to do for themselves on their own, so on and so forth. As a parent, when you are no longer here, like that, you want to set them up in a way so now they're completely fine without you being there. Yeah. I have so many other questions.
Come on.
And well, all right. So I have been probably for like what feels like the past 2 years trying to nighttime routines are not my thing. Routines in general, right? But so what I want for you to talk about now is when it comes to establishing a routine for children, for family, and what challenges that has presented for you.
Oh, okay. I had a girlfriend, shout out Casey, who told me that a bedtime is not for the children, it's for you, the parent, the adult. And that's what like kick-started me into having a routine prior to any diagnosis. My kids go to bed, lay down 7:30 on the dot.
I love that.
But that means we're eating earlier, so that means we're not going to sleep with heavy stomachs and all the things. And the routine is one, good for my kids. There's an expectation that we know what's going to happen every day when we get home. My son has homework. He does his homework. My daughter does her puzzles, whatever. We know that we're going to eat dinner. We're going to take a bath. They might get 30 minutes of TV or YouTube or whatever, and then we're going to go to bed. And them going to bed at 7:30 is good for my mental health. It's good for my husband. We'll either link and watch something that we wanted to watch because we're very conscious of what we show around them. Like, that's where in the house is booty. And he heard that off of a show. So trying to make sure that we watch what he's digesting, because kids with autism, any kid, but kid with autism are very quick to mimic. So having to be careful of what we say, what we do. So that's one of the things. But two, the bedtime helps them function at school. I see so many kids, even from when I was teaching, kids, I was up late last night, Miss Crenshaw. I was up watching TV. I was on my phone, whatever. And now they can't function through the day.
Up in there.
I don't need nothing else adjusting my kids' moods, especially when they're sleepy. Because little kids and sleepy,
it's a fight. It's a war.
It's a war.
I'm not prepared.
And I don't, you're not going to call my phone because of that. No. Don't call me. So because of that, I try to make sure that I prepare my kids best. And in the morning, especially now because I'm not teaching, I can let them wake up.
Yeah.
And we can eat breakfast, and it's not a mad rush, and they don't feel overwhelmed, and all the anxiety of the morning. And I can really do my routines with my son. I do deep pressure with him.
Oh, yeah. So, I just listened to a podcast about that. Yeah. So
I squeeze here, his head, his legs. And while my husband at first thought it was silly, we saw that it really helps regulate his emotions, and it helps him be seen. And prior to even learning about deep pressure, I learned about like when children are having like, it calls like autism fits or meltdowns. They're really severe. It could be with them slamming their body against the floor or whatever. I used to at first like, get up, like fussy. And then I had to like correct myself because I'm triggered. Because in the Black community, I'm used to when you're falling out and having a meltdown, where my shoe at?
Yeah.
With
a
belt.
Get you. Yeah.
Where I got to snatch you up. Get up. But now it's more
really
so I have to correct myself. And one, I'm not embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like having to tell myself, I'm not embarrassed. My son has something going on. It's not your business to really know, but if I share it with you, cool. Yeah. Let me snatch him up, let him know that he's safe. I give him the deepest hug. Yeah. And then I see all that anxiety and everything start to fade away. But that took me reprogramming myself. And when you have a child that has autism, it's going to debunk everything you've learned about being a Black parent. I mean, everything is going to debunk.
Because I would imagine we'll go against absolutely everything.
If you hit them, they become more aggressive. So,
which is just...
we can, but if you hit them, they become more aggressive. If you have to teach them, I'm on his time a little bit, not a lot, but I'm on his time a little bit, as in learning how to navigate him. Sometimes when he's having a meltdown, his expressive language is not there. And that was a lot of the beginning of it. He couldn't express how he feels. So him being able to go to the door and say, this ain't gonna work. That's work that we've put in. Yeah. So now when he's having a meltdown, me and my husband, and we're human, so sometimes we are like, but get down on your level. What is wrong? I just can't find my toy and it's really upsetting me. Okay, let's go find it. You don't always have to fall out and slam your body against the floor. You can hurt yourself.
Absolutely.
You can hurt your head, all the things, or you go running off. Like, we need you to stay here because we need you to be safe. And we've started to have those conversations now. Even now, if he still has a meltdown, we'll be like, what's wrong? And we'll see him say, okay, they're listening. I can't, my ball's not working. His puzzles are the thing. I can't fit the puzzle piece perfectly. It's upsetting me. And having to tell him, like, is that a big problem or a little problem?
And that prepares them just for every part of adulthood as well.
Yeah, because you see adults have tantrums all the time. And you're like, are you okay?
They're like, yeah.
Are you okay?
Whole entire fits. And it's like, no, regulate yourself. Get it together.
But emotional regulation in the Black community and children with autism, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Like, you really see emotions with children that have autism because every emotion is a big one. It's, if I'm happy, he's screaming, excited, he's running around. If he's sad, it's deep sorrow. Yeah. You'll think something crazy didn't happen. And it's, I just don't like how my socks feel.
Yeah.
Boy,
we need some different socks.
You just scared me. Or I don't want to be by myself. I'm lonely. But if he's in his room by himself and he's trying to go to sleep and he just feels that sense of loneliness overtakes him, he's screaming to the top of his lungs, come get me, because that's the feeling that he has. So trying to navigate and mold and teach and reprogram, especially if you grew up getting whoopings.
Yeah, that's Jesus. Yeah.
The whooping.
You got a lot of whooping?
No. So I grew up with, and I love.
I don't know, Ashley.
So did I get whoopings? Yes. Have I been popped? Yes, especially like in the mouth sometimes, you said so. But I grew up with parents who chose to parent me the opposite of what they experienced. Yes. So a lot of the reason why I can stand firm in my advocacy is because my parents gave me that strength. Yeah. So like recently I had a meeting at his school and my parents came with me just so I wasn't alone because my husband was stuck in a meeting. And my mom was like, you're really a product of us. Because I stood very firm on how I felt. I came with statistics. I didn't cuss anybody out. But it was because I knew what I was talking about and I was just confident. And it's because my confidence came from my parents. I would get in trouble. Something silly like I tried to glue my teacher to the seat in second grade.
You tried to glue your...
Yeah, girl.
Hear us. She tried to glue her teacher to the seat.
I thought it was going to be real cool.
For you or for the teacher?
I thought it was going to be a moment. So, of course, it did not work because it was Elmer's. Like, what was I thinking? And so, I asked... So, after I got in trouble and all the things, my parents asked me, well, why?
Yeah.
I explained. My parents looked at me like, girl, that was stupid. It did not stop the punishment. It did not stop the whooping, but I at least got to express myself. There was always conversation at the dinner table, talking about sex, drugs, money, whatever. I could always have those conversations. So now as an adult, I can stand firm in my voice.
Absolutely.
So even when we talk about speaking up and advocating for your children, when did you have a safe space to stand solid in your voice? So when my friends hear how my parents raised me, it's such an anomaly because my parents would have smacked the hell out of me if I did something like that. And it's like, no, my parents go advocate, go, and they've researched, but it's also, I had to reprogram my parents too, especially now that we all live together. Yeah. That was my parents having to be like, yo, he's crying because of this. And advocating against my parents. Some people are like, my parents can't watch my kids because they can't handle them. No, your parents need to be open to being retaught. Yeah. And
unlearning so much of everything and then relearning.
Yeah. But again, how can you say that to certain people's parents? Well, some people are like, I can't correct my parents. My parents are open to me correcting them, and I never disrespect them when I correct them. You need to learn how to deal with your grandson. Yeah. And having empathy and understanding that it's going to be a little different. So we went out to eat. Deuce was having a moment. And it was a little bit of stares, but it wasn't too much. And my dad, while me and my husband are trying to... My dad was like, making sure... Don't look over here.
Eat your potatoes.
Eat your potatoes. Eat your shrimp.
We got this.
We got this. If you got a problem, I'll let it,
Yeah.
But again... That's all taught at home. So when I'm talking to these moms who are like, I need your help, it's because it wasn't taught at home, or you can't. So you don't go anywhere because you don't trust your mama with your son. How crazy is
and
that?
That's the thing, because then where is the respite? Where's the time away? Where's the moments for you to really just collect yourself and spend time with yourself as you're evolving as a whole entire woman, outside of being a mom, outside of whatever these other roles are. So if you're glued to them, that's
if
all
you don't
you'll
trust
know, that's
them,
all they'll know.
But then you build up a resentment. You build up a resentment.
We can't go there. Baby.
You build up a resentment. It's like, I already got a kid, depending on your situation. Kids are a lot. That's a responsibility. That's a person. And if, you want to be like a mom, you're there.
Yeah.
Now my kid has something a little special. Just a little. Now I have to be extra cautious about where I go, who I'm with, who's going to watch my child. If my mom and me don't have that relationship where I can tell her, hey, if my son's hands get wet, he's going to lose his mind.
And she respond the way she needs to. Yeah.
But what about if she doesn't and it pisses her off and she beats the brakes off of him? Or she has the TV on 60 and he's in the corner crying because you're triggering him. Or you're mad, like autistic kids don't eat. My son can pull 3 days on just water, juice, and crackers. And smack the crackers. It'd be good. And you're like, you gonna eat? No. But you done made him mac and cheese, fried chicken, knowing that my son is funny with textures. He's not going to eat no fried chicken, baby. That crust is too hard for him.
But now you're bothered, you're frustrated. Oh, he's ungrateful. Oh, you need to eat this. And that
go to your room.
Yeah,
instead of
punishment.
Being, I'll put the food. If you want it,
it's here.
If you don't,
boom. Yeah.
But everybody's not there in their parenting. But then you can't. You also have people who can't even tell their parents.
Yeah.
Because it's disrespectful. I'm not disrespecting you. I'm telling you how to treat my child.
Yeah, if you're going to be a part of my child's life, this is how you need to show up for them.
And I have to tell my dad all the time. He's like, but that's my grandson, but that's my child.
Pops.
Papa. Yeah. While that is your grandson and you stand up 10 toes or you stand 10 toes down for him, that's still my child. My autistic little black boy.
Yeah.
There's still certain things that need to be handled for him. It's different with a regular child, and regular being very
we gonna
regular, very
with
loose.
a child who does not have autism. We'll say it that way. Yeah,
it's still certain ways that you have to go about things with him.
Yeah,
he's not going to transition easily. Like, okay, we're here for a minute. We're gonna go over there. No, I'm gonna set this timer.
The next 15, we'll be doing this.
Watch the timer. You'll know as it goes down, we're about to go here. Yeah. But you can't just snatch him up. Oh, we're about to go. That's not going to work for him. He feels unaware.
Listen. I've enjoyed this time today.
Oh gosh.
Thank you though. Thank you. And for the work that you're doing. I think that there are tons of moms who don't get the space to have these conversations. Someone who they can't talk to hear them. Who is
your friends gaslight you.
Yeah,
or your family.
There's lack of understanding, and some don't even have a desire to understand. So I would love for you to let them know where they can find you. How they can reach you just for support, to hear, or you have amazing content on Instagram as well. Tell them where they can connect with you.
Instagram, it's it's like 6 H's _Ashley. That's where everything is. Same thing for TikTok. DM me. I respond. I'm not one of those who try. People with like a little following, they try to act like they can. Not one of those. Reach out. It's literally whatever to me. I'm just here for my ministry is for the moms. I'm gonna back you if you have questions. But I also do activities for my kids. Like my son puts everything in his mouth as a part of autism. It's called pica. So I do activities that are geared towards all children. But it might help your little special baby.
Yeah. Too. I love that. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
You all, this has been another episode of the Hey Honey podcast. I hope that this brought you some good news and one step close to freedom.
Take a little drop of honey and you'll see. Chill out with us. Let's go. Personal growth. So sweet and it's good for the healthy free. If it's on this podcast, then take a little drop. Celebrate a safe place.